Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this video finds you, I hope you're having a rad time. I'm the Figure Dude, and on today's Work in Progress Wednesday, we're going to be working on 5 Seth Rollins customs. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures. Dude. Welcome back. Like I said, today I'm working on a bunch of Seth Rollins. So this one up front here is the I don't think WrestleMania. I think he wore this attire after he beat Lesnar for the Universal title at like Extreme Rules, I want to say. But with that one, that's going to be simple. We have a fix up for the vest here. They were not allowed. I think they weren't allowed to put the X on the jacket. So it was kind of a Wolverine look, but we've got that decal here. Got it cut out there. You see it in the back of the package. But that's all we're doing for this one. The other one's gonna be a lot more involved. And before I even can paint them and get decals and everything, I have a lot of prepping to do with all of these. The hips on these are atrocious. So you can see just pushing this apart, barely moves. This leg comes forward a little. This one, not at all. And that's kind of the theme with all of these Rollins. I did get around to seeing some top 10 videos with figures, and one of the things I saw brought up for one of the worst figures was that the Rollins legs, like these legs don't move. And that's kind of been a theme with a lot of the stuff we're getting. A lot of quality, it's just been off. And that's the case for all of these. So I'm going to pop the legs off all of them. I'm going to sand down the ball joint that's on there. I'm going to do that off screen because there's really nothing, there's nothing to it. There's like little ridges on the ball joint. I'm just going to sand those down so things move around a little bit better. And then we'll get everything. So when I do that, I'll also take apart like the boots, the knee pads. I'll swap some things around. And then we'll get to the painting once everything is sanded down and ready to go. We're going to be making some cool attires though. So we've got the Extreme Rules blue RVD kind of look. We have the Backlash attire from when he defended the title against Omos. Then we have the SummerSlam attire, and I'm going to grab one of the extra vests I have, the black and green vest from when he fought Balor, and then when he wore this attire the second time. So we're going to be doing that one. And then the last one we're going to be doing, there's a bunch of stuff in here, but I'm going to be doing the Survivor Series Jordan attire, his red, black, or Chicago Bulls attire, and my favorite color is red. I thought that attire was awesome, and I think we got a basic of it, but we didn't get the vest with it, so I'm planning to do the vest. Somehow I'll probably just get one of my rubber shirts and paint that up, but I always love doing Rollins customs. I have a ton of Rollins in my collection, and these guys are just going to get added to the shelf, added to that whole roll of Rollins figures. And then eventually I want to do another Rollins showcase. I just needed to finish these up before I got to that, so let's get to it. All right, let's get to it. So on this first Seth here, this is going to be the SummerSlam attire, and the pink that I had just was too pink. It was very bubblegum, and I think I wanted more of a magenta look. Once I looked at some more reference pictures, I realized it was just not quite the right shade. With all of these Rollins though, I took them apart, painted the pieces, and then put them back together. So I got all the pink onto here, decided I wasn't very fond of it, and then once I got back to it, I painted it with the like dark magenta, I think is what it was called, pink, which it's apple barrel, which is why I was hesitant to use it, but it covered pretty well, at least well enough to where I wasn't going to need to put that many layers over what I already had, so it was ideal. And that's what I went with, and you can kind of tell there, it's not just a matter of the lighting, it's a completely different pink on the figure here. And then I did end up finding some already pink knee pads that I used. I think those are from like the old Jinder Mahal basic. For all these decals, this one was probably the most difficult just because of the placement and how big they were, but none of these were too bad. They were all pretty straightforward, easy to do. My micro set, micro sole, pat it down with a sponge, and then hit it with the hair dryer, make sure it's in place, and then you just let it chill out, do its thing, and seal it afterwards. Which I always cover them with Mod Podge, all the decals. Like the next day, I'll let them all dry overnight. Especially these like big leg ones here, you have to be patient. Patience is the best way to come out with quality customs. Next up, process is going to be about the same for all of these. I'm going to get the individual pieces together. I'm going to seal them up. I did do the knee joints for everything, and then I'll piece them back together and touch up anything that gets messed up in the process. So gonna do the legs here, and then since I don't want to get red paint on the knee pads, I decided to just paint the bottom and then paint the legs here, and then we'll piece it together. And then, like I said, I'll touch up anything I need to. I did swap out the kick pads. I thought they were all black, and then I looked at reference pictures and realized they were mostly red with black kick pads. So I painted these all black, and then I had a pair that I had primed already for the Backlash version, and then ended up not using those. So I just used those. You can see it repainted red here. So I didn't want to have to repaint over black. Luckily, I just had some that were already primed white, and we did those. This Rollins does have the ghost white decal, so you put the white down first, and then you put the colored design over it. I always have a lot of fun with these. The clear decals go on fantastic. It's a lot easier to put those on than the ones that have a colored background. I don't know why you use, I guess you would use like white paper versus clear paper, but it's still decal paper, and I don't know exactly why it's so much easier, but clear decals are always a little bit easier. Plus, you don't have to match paint as much because it's just clear. It's going on clear. You don't have to match any reds or anything here. So get the white on, and then we will get the black over it, and it really pops. I really like these decals. I don't have white toner or anything, so I don't print off my own ghost white decals, but Curb Stomp does a great job with them. It's typically like $2 or $3 extra if you get ghost white. So that side one there, it didn't line up right the first time. I don't know what I was doing. Came back to it after trying it on the other side, figured it out, all went perfectly fine. So it was just a lapse in my brain there for a second. Probably happens multiple times a day. For the vest here, it's just a red shirt. It was an old Cesaro Elite. Got rid of the design, and then again, ghost white decals. Get the white on, and then do the colored part over that, and it really pops off. I really like it. I do make sure it sticks very well to the decal, so trying your best to get it to line up before you let it go, because it does get harder to move those, especially if you don't have any liquid or micro set kind of separating those. With the Extreme Rules Rollins here, again, same process. Let's paint the knee joints, get those in there, paint up the other stuff blue, get it all pieced together, and then we touch it up if you need to, and get the decals added afterwards. Once I get the base paint layers on, I always seal them first. Sometimes it's just with Mod Podge, sometimes I'll spray it, but I always will seal it with something before I start doing all the rest of the work. I used to sometimes not seal it, and I'd be happy with it, but if I can't, my general rule of thumb, which I don't know, it might seem goofy, but if I don't like the custom before I add the decals, then I try to figure out what I don't like, and I redo it to get it where I'd like to. I don't want to have the decals or the deco be what makes the figure. I want it to look like that wrestler before I add in those details. Which might make sense. It makes sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, I understand, because I'm not even totally sure what I mean by that. Sometimes it just doesn't feel right. On to Extreme Rules. The vest here I did paint blue, and I'm going to add the decals afterwards. the like dragon on the front. But these ones are pretty simple. There's 4 decals. They're all they're all pretty slim. They don't have to go around any rounded edges really. So it was pretty easy to place these ones. It was a nice breather after doing that SummerSlam one. That had quite a bit more to it. Plus the RVD inspired look is just a rad one. I like it. I wish there was a little more airbrushing on it, but I mean, what am I gonna do? I got what I got. For the vest here, I did cut the neck up a little bit, but it's just like an odd cut, so maybe I'll come back, try and make another version of it, but this will work for today. This decal on the back is pretty large, so. On Backlash Seth, the leg here, I'm going to just paint all black. These are some edge legs with some different lowers, but then these legs are about the same size, but they do fit a little bit different. I didn't know if that would affect the decals, but for the most part, it didn't. Size-wise, they still come out about the same, even though they are molded a little bit different than the actual Rollins legs. And then on the crotch piece ones, you can see there's a little bit of gap in the top, but the belt that is going to go on him will cover that up. And I did think about filling in some of the gaps with like a navy blue and then just kind of doing a dry brush to fill in those gaps. So I might do that, and I also might not, because it's not a huge deal to me on this Backlash attire. It's not something that I am like dying to have in the collection. Like a couple inaccuracies isn't going to kill me putting together this one. Some other Seths, yes, it might, but this one's okay. We're going to just place the decals, and I'm going to be happy with it. And after that, we are going to wrap it up. Oh, I forgot about the hardest one. All right, time to wrap it up. And before I film the wrap up here, I went onto my Google Drive to see when I first uploaded the intro. So I've said before on the channel, when I do my Work in Progress Wednesday, like I don't just do a custom every week. What I'll try to do is a batch of them and then edit them all out and spread it out so that I have one for every week. So I started these Rollins customs, and I knew it'd been a while since I started the video. But then I looked at my Google Drive and I uploaded the intro for this Work in Progress Wednesday video January 21st in 2024. So it has been, or 2025. I guess it just said January 21st. I don't think it's been that long, but we are coming up on 2026. I'm pretty sure this is from last January. It's been a while. It has been a pretty long while. I was working on these, and if you follow the channel, I've talked about it plenty. My garage flooded, and that's where I have all of my stuff. And I was literally in the middle of working on the Extreme Rules, the blue Rollins, when I saw water starting to creep into my garage. So that set things back even longer than it already had been. But we are finally here to wrap things up, and I am ecstatic to take a look at everything. It turned out fantastic. So we have the X-Men look for the Rollins here, which I want to say he wore that attire when he teamed with his wife, Becky Lynch, against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. He also had the gold attire that was kind of the same pants scheme, but a different jacket there. And it's simple, but I do really like I like the vests. So I'm thinking about taking the lowers on the legs and swapping those onto the updated body with the bigger legs. Then obviously we'd just have to do the decals or paint or whatever on the thighs. But that was the easiest part, was just slapping a decal on that vest. And obviously it's wild to me that they couldn't just put that on the vest. Like, I know it's X-Men inspired, but also there's really not that much that I made. Like, they did the Deadpool attire, so I don't know why they couldn't just add the X there. But anyway, moving on to the other piece here we have. So this one changed quite a bit. Instead of using the Rollins body, what I ended up doing was taking the Rollins custom that I had made of him at WrestleMania 30, is it 35? That was in New Orleans when he wore his Game of Thrones attire, and then we just got that WrestleMania Elite of him. So I got that WrestleMania Elite, didn't need my custom anymore, so I ended up using some nail polish to remove the decals on there. I painted that leg black, and then obviously we got all the decals on. And then I just grabbed this jacket from an extra, I got an extra jacket when I got a Carmelo Hayes Elite. So one has the I have two of the I have both Carmelo Hayes, the red and the purple one. So I just have a jacket on one of them. I used this jacket on Rollins. I can't remember what he actually wore for his entrance against Omos when he had this attire on. It's a fine attire, really. It was just throw in. It looks cool. I love making Rollins customs, so I like how it turned out. I like that I can throw the jacket on there, even if, like, he doesn't normally just wear plain fur coats. He has something a little more elaborate. But I also really like this head sculpt. It was the Elite 45, I want to say, and it might have been on his like cash-in figure. I can't remember. Maybe it was just that Elite 45. But I do really like this head sculpt. There should be a little bit of blonde in there. I actually thought about using this on the Survivor Series one that I'm about to show you guys, but I ended up just going with this one. I think I went and looked at the decals on Curb Stomp's website just to see how he had them laid out, and he had this head sculpt on there, and I thought, oh yeah, I think that looks pretty good. His hair is pretty fluffy in that match, as it gets typically as he wrestles, so I was cool using this. Then next up is that Survivor Series Seth I was talking about. I wasn't going to do the vest at first. I was thinking that I didn't want to paint, and I don't always love painting t-shirts, the rubber shirts, but I had the decals, and then I was just kind of looking for something else and realized I had a red one, and it matches well enough, so I figured what the heck, might as well do it. So this vest he wore is not like his normal ones that are tight. This one was looser, so I thought the shirt actually worked well for the size of it. So then I had the decals on the front and back, but it looked very plain because he still had some other stuff on it. So I took some small pieces of tape, I cut it a little bit, and then I drew the black in the middle to kind of give it the look that it had. The actual vest that he wore had two of the stripes on the side, but I just went with one because it fit better. I did consider cutting it down the middle in the front where that black line is, because that's how the actual vest was, but I'm happy enough with this. I'm not going to cut if I don't need to. I thought about cutting and then gluing the sides, which I still may end up doing. I still think it would look decent if I did that, but this is where I'm at for it today, so I am going to take off that vest. Here, you know what? We'll just get all of the guys that have vests on, all the ones that do have a layover, and then I'll take them all off and you can see them after that. So there's the Extreme Rules one, and this was another, I really didn't think I was going to do the best for it, and I don't love it. It's just cut so weird, and it's not a matter of the decals or how I did it, like how Mattel did it. It was just cut weird in general when Seth wore it. So it's not perfect, I guess, but it gets the job done. It was bigger, and it was cut really low on his neck. It's just an odd fit. Curb Stomp, he used a not the like vest mold that Seth has, but the tighter t-shirt mold that we see on some wrestlers. That's what he used in his custom that he shared on the website, his website. And it does fit that better, but then I would have had to do like either cut the sides or the front, because that big decal on the back would have covered up the pegs. So I might end up doing that anyway, but this is what I went with for today. And then we'll swap this one back here so you can see just the full tights there. I always love doing the ghost white decals. I really enjoy putting the base layer, just the white decal down, and then laying over whatever decals on top of it. It's just, I don't know what it is about it. Something about lining them up perfectly, getting them on there, seeing the color pop with the white around it. I just think it looks so clean. I'm a big fan of the ghost white decals. But you can see everything in there. It was kind of a different scheme for him, attire-wise, so I always thought it was neat. I didn't have the armband. It didn't bother me. And his wrist wraps did have some red on it, but again, it didn't bother me with the black tape there. And then this attire-wise is actually kind of plain outside of the vest, but there's that dragon on the front, Rollins down the side. It was just a cool homage to RVD. And I don't know if Seth did it just because it was that cage match, or if he dressed like RVD because he was wrestling Riddle and people compare them. And I believe he hated Riddle quite a bit, which the more I hear about him, the less I seem to like him. But nonetheless, that's a conversation for another day. The last one we have here is the SummerSlam Rollins, and this turned out fantastic. I love this one. This was such a cool looking attire. I love that it was a callback to what he wore against Finn when he did bust his shoulder. I did put some accents on the toe and the heel with the green and the orange. When I was looking at pictures, I swore he had white on the soles of his shoes, and then some of them seemed to not have that at all. So it does give a little more pop to it. I could have just been looking at the wrong time he wore those pink shoes, but the only other thing I'd have to say is that the tights, I debated doing a metallic pink on them. Sometimes I felt like they were shiny, and then other pictures they didn't look quite as glossy. So I just kept it the way it is for now. I think it looks really good. These are just such unique attires, and the decals I think are pretty good for these. Like they do a good job, like these ones, and then like the attire that Seth wore against Cody Rhodes when he had like the lace on his legs are a couple of my favorites for the decals that Curb Stomp did, because I feel like it kind of captures that look pretty well. And then I just had that extra vest from one of the old Elites, and that's what he wore out to the ring. So I really, I have everything. I had the vest for him, so I really wanted to do the vest once I got everything pieced together. But I'll get everything on screen for one final shot, and we'll move on out of here. All right, so there's everybody that we completed today, and I did a real fast count of all my Rollins figures, and it's nuts. I really enjoy making his attires. I don't know what it is about his figures. I think it's just like I enjoy Ospreay as well, and it's just all of the cool details with them. Like, it's not just a Trunks logo on the front and back. Like, it's the full, like, I paint the legs, I have decals. It just, so much goes into it, and they always look really neat when I'm done. Like, all of these are very different. Like they're different colors, they're just different schemes, different, like, even with Cody, most of his attires, if I didn't know specific, like, they're mostly the same. They're different variations of red, white, and blue. We get mix-ups here and there, but Seths are always so much fun to do. But I have, including these, I have just shy of 40 Seth figures, and that was just a quick count, so I might have missed some on the shelf, but I have a ridiculous amount of Seth Rollins figures, and I've been waiting to do a showcase of his figures in my collection because I knew I was going to be making these. I had to have those in there. So that is going to be everything for today. If you've stuck around to the end, if you have been waiting since January to get this Seth Rollins video like I have, then I'm glad that we made it here today. But that's going to be it. So words. What are my words? Oh my. If you made it all the way to the end here, I appreciate it. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, and remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy more action figures. Figure Dude, out.